Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now.
You got your fineness on, sister?
Yes.
All right. Brains, welcome home to On the Edge with April Mahoney. This is the spot, the place. Yes, the fingers creeping up. The place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp right over there, and the responses are never dull. Today, we are talking to Judy Hartman, all the way from somewhere around Detroit, Michigan. We're going to ask her about what in the world is going on. She said that the weather is changing and she does not like it cold. Maybe she'll come to San Diego. We're going to talk about her experience as a speaker. She is a breakout, inspirational, and motivational speaker. She's going to be talking to us a little bit about grief, because you grieve all kinds of ways. You grieve your finance, your money, your relationships, the death of a pet, the death of a person in your life. So grief, is very, very relevant. And we want to talk about that, or should we say talk through that? And in addition to that, she's got another conversation that she's about to talk about. Eliminating excuses. Excuses like assholes, Brains. Everybody got them and they all stink. And I can't stand them. So, again, be honest, be forthright, but she's going to help us eliminate those. So let's welcome her to the edge right there. Judy Hartman. Hi, baby.
Hi.
Welcome to On the Edge. Me and my brains love having you.
It is my pleasure. I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah. So we have a good little conversation. So down back, how did you get into this number one speaking gig? Because, speaking is not easy. Speaking is one of people's biggest fears, and it's not just because you know how to talk, but it's how you learn how to present yourself, how to tell a story from beginning to end, how to be captivating, how to learn to ask questions. How did you get into speaking?
Yes, I actually had a friend of mine that I saw that she had performed. And when I saw her video, I simply reached out to her, telling her, hey, I didn't know you were doing this. That was amazing. And she simply asked me if I was interested in this type of thing. And I said, motivational speaking, inspirational speaking, absolutely. I have been watching people all my life with the motivational speaking. So she had says to me, you should do this. You have a story to tell. And it was funny because when she put me on the forefront there, I was like, no, I don't. And all of a sudden, like April had said, all those fears of when somebody actually says, hey, you should do this. I instantly thought speaking, stages, people looking at you, and it terrified me. But I also knew what she was talking about when she said that I had a story to share. And one of my things I do is instantly go into prayer with things. So when I finished my conversation with her, I definitely took it in prayer. And the answer that I was getting from God was a clear yes, you need to share your story. So I auditioned to go on to the Leadership Experience Tour,
Wow.
in which I was selected, and there's where I started.
So how did you prepare yourself? A lot of people, again, you didn't, from what you're explaining to me, you didn't have formal training. I'm a former Toastmaster president, so I've had formal training. I've been on, hundreds of stages. I do the podcast. But how did you prepare yourself, your psyche, for getting out there and telling your story?
I know I knew, as I mentioned, my story was very important because I knew that people were struggling. And I myself like to listen to motivational speakers. So I know the motivation when I hear what other people say, such as Tony Robbins, Trent Sheldon. I would listen to people of like minds like that, and it would inspire me. And really, in all honesty, it wasn't anything I didn't know of what they were saying. It was the reinforcement of hearing it to stay on a constant basis of staying on the upbeat.
Right.
So,
Because again, inspiration and motivation, it comes from in here.
Yes.
Those
Yes.
outside influences are very important because they validate,
Yes.
they substantiate, they elevate, they incubate
Yes.
inside your head and your heart. And then it makes you feel good. You say, hey, I'm not alone.
Yes.
You know, somebody else has walked this walk with me, that has been on this journey with me. Tell us a little bit about your story, your back history.
It was 2009, and my daughter had gotten sick. And in the beginning stages of her being sick, it was a very short time frame of a matter of just being sick over the weekend. And I just thought she had the flu. So I'm, watching her, making sure she's okay. And by Monday, I told her that if she was going to continue to have this fever, if it spiked up anymore, that we were going to take her in. You'll just need a little bit of help, some antibiotics, the usual things that we do when we get sick.
Right.
So when I did get home from work on that Monday, and I came in the door, and I remember she was laying in my bed, and I went over and I kissed her forehead to check for her temperature, the mom thing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And she was burning up, like tremendously burning up. And I instantly was like, no, this is too much. So I simply said, we're going to go into the ER and get you some help here. You need some antibiotics. Something is going on. In the course of getting her to the point of getting up and getting her shoes on, she had actually passed out and fell back onto my bed. And instantly I just was like, oh my God. I was like, Amanda, I'm like, breathe, Amanda, because I honestly went into this shock, because even though I work in healthcare, when it becomes one of your own in such a sudden situation, it was like everything went out the window on me. And I just saw her laying there, and it scared me.
I know it did.
Yes. So she did. She took this deep breath. I heard this, and I was like, okay. So I instantly grabbed the phone and called 911. So long story short, she went to the ER and she was diagnosed with viral meningitis. And as a mom, I remember thinking, what is that? I didn't know what that was. And they said, it's okay. There's viral and bacterial. She has viral meningitis. We'll admit her into the hospital. We'll put her on some antibiotics, and she'll be coming home Wednesday or Thursday. Everything will be fine. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I remember I called my job and I was like, my daughter's in the hospital. She's sick. I won't be into work, because I knew for a fact I was not leaving my daughter's side regardless. She hated hospitals. She hated needles more than anybody in this world that I know. So it was quite a struggle of what we went through there. And she was up and down while she was in there when we took her in, when she got admitted on Monday. And it went rather quickly, because I recall her all of a sudden as she laid there in the bed, and she says, Mommy, she says, give me a hug. And I says, okay. So I gave her a hug, and she says, Mommy, give me a kiss. And I gave her a little kiss. And she says, Mommy, I love you. I said, I love you more. And we had this little game that we always played, that we would always do this. I love you more, back and forth. And I always let her win. But that day when she was doing that, she started to talk faster and faster. And it was, Mommy, give me another hug. Give me another kiss. Give me another hug, Mommy. I love you more, Mommy. And I was finally, I said, whoa. Okay. I said, baby. I said, okay, you love me more. Let's relax. From that moment, from when she did that, everything just spiraled. And long story short, not to go into really details, because it was really rough. Within a matter of minutes, she was actually brain dead. And you don't expect that. I remember I remember them calling it code blue, and the people coming into the hospital room. And I remember walking out. I can see myself looking at her, and I'm thinking, what is happening here? This wasn't supposed to happen.
No, and you go through a complete mind shift. Your whole life changes right in front of your eyes. So as you try to recover, you find yourself in this place called grief.
Yes.
And grief, can be different for everybody.
Yes.
People think that there's 5 or 6 stages. No. And you're like a ping pong ball. You're going back and forth, in and out, back and forth, in and out. I totally get it. My mother just passed away, and it was a rite of passage for us. We knew, of course, that she was a woman of a particular age and that she was ailing and that she was tired. But it doesn't get any easier. People say, oh, well, she lived 91 years. She lived a good life. Well, yeah, she did, but I didn't want it to end. But I had asked her one time, I said, Mama, what if you were the only person left on the planet? And she goes, that would be awful. She says, don't you want me to go on to glory? So how do you help people go on to glory? How do you help people walk through this process? I know that you share your story, but what tools and what inspiration do you provide them for them to carry on?
For me to share with others, I share my personal journey of being in that numbness, going to support groups, and they're a good thing. But I think it comes a point where you have to allow yourself to feel that pain. Right. And to deal with the pain. And when you do that, you'll actually start to heal from the pain. It's gonna hurt, it's gonna be hard. But honestly, unless you do that, you're gonna stay stuck in this place. You'll continue to be angry, you'll continue to cry. You're really just gonna keep on living through the motions of life when you still have a life to live, you still have a purpose. They're not here physically, but they never leave our hearts. They never leave our minds. So
never.
You carry them.
They're like magnified.
Yes.
You think of them even more. You count on them even more. I'll count on my mother. Mother, I need X, Y, Z. And within a matter of minutes, it's there.
Yes.
And, this is not the only life or only world that I believe exists. I believe this is a test ground. Are you worthy? Are you deserving of going on to the next chapter, whatever your next chapter can be? I don't believe that this is the only life that I've had. I know, and I've had experiences, and I've seen firsthand previous life experiences. So again, bantering back and forth in between these realities can be difficult for individuals. And again, like you said, it's not about just being in the emotion, but being in motion. You've got to keep moving. People get stuck.
They do, and I say you have to find a reason that is stronger, that'll pull you through. For me, some might think that it was an easy choice for me to pull through because I have 2 other children, but there are other people who have lost loved ones that have children and they still don't find that power. But me personally, I had to come to this real, I was like, I have 2 other children. I can't crumble. They still need me. So that was huge, and that was a strong why for me. And we also had to allow ourselves to talk about the elephant in the room, because everybody tiptoes over mentioning names, afraid of hurting each other. But the truth is, it's healthy to talk about them and laugh and share and remember the good times.
Right. How did your other children respond?
Oh, that was hard. That was hard. They were just as devastated because we were a trio. I called my children my trio because we were all very close. And my 3 children were just bonded, like they were not just brother and sister, they were best friends. So it was devastating all the way around for all of us. And I had to learn the aspect of from sibling to sibling versus child to parent with the loss. And there's this magical thing because I didn't know how to help them. As a mom, I always want, moms, we want to fix things for our kids when things go wrong. It's kind of like when they fall off that bike and you put a Band-Aid on it or you kiss the boo-boo and make it better. This for the first time in my life, this was something I can never fix.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
When
the reality of death is something that unfortunately we have to share with our children.
Yes.
I've been at funerals and they'll say, oh, grandpa's just sleeping. Now your child is scared to go to sleep because they think they're going to wake up in this casket.
Right.
They see the dirt being thrown on top of the body. Right. It's a horrifying experience. But if you let them know that this is a part of the process, right, that, we can work through this. This isn't the end. There's no more pain. There's no more sorrow. Yes. You can speak to a child as early as 3 or 4 years old and they get it.
They get it.
You don't have to go into each nano detail, but at least explain to them that this is a part of the process. And like taxes, you guaranteed to die. It's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. And again, if I didn't say it, I sympathize and empathize with your loss. It's nothing like losing a child. A mother always thinks that she's going to outlive her child. But sure, you are a shining example of what it is to be an inspiration. And you want people to get rid of these self-limiting beliefs as well as move through their feelings in motion. You're going to be talking to people now. You have a new platform, eliminating excuses. Excuses wear me down, Judy.
Yes.
Just come 100. Yes. I wasn't able to get to the meeting. My time was off. I'm not able to pay you the money right now because I didn't get my check, or my rent or expenses were too high. I'm not really feeling you, so I'm going on to be with somebody else.
Yes.
But it's so hard for people to tell the truth.
It is. And part of eliminating excuses, it came into fruition with me when I was thinking about it. I was like, oh my gosh, we also make so many excuses as to why we are not doing something that we really want to do. What's holding you back? What excuse are you telling yourself? Because really, if you have a passion in your heart to do something, if you have a dream, something you've always wanted to do, and you're not doing it, you have to ask yourself, why not? What's the real reason why you're not? Because you'll find that we're making excuses why we're not. I don't care if it's that we feel like we're not confident enough, if we think we're not smart enough, if we think we don't have enough money to do it. Everybody starts somewhere. Most people, they'll start from their garage with things, their bedrooms. It doesn't matter, but you start. A big one that I've done for myself. I used to do this with certain things. I was like, I can't do this. I don't have the money for that. But the truth is, when you look at something you really want to do, if you take a look at your budget and cut back on some of the nonsense that we know we do and save that money to invest in ourselves, you'll find your dream's going to start coming true. But you have to invest in yourself.
You got to do the work. I tell people all the time, you rely on coaches and palm readers and
oh my gosh,
spiritual clergy. You got to have your own direct line to source.
Yes.
You got to believe in yourself. You got to go out and do the work. Oh, I've created a vision board, or I'm going to manifest this. A manifestation is an idea until you put the work behind it.
Yes.
You got to thrust behind it. So you're thrusting in a different direction now. You are taking on the challenge of writing a book.
Yes, I am.
What's your book going to be about?
My first book is actually on grief, and I do have my title. One of the things I'm working on as I go through this, I'm being very prayerful to make sure that the content of what I'm writing and sharing is actually in a line for what people need to hear and know to help them through. Mm-hmm. In that I will share the full disclosure of my own daughter's story, and mixed in with that, different stages of what we go through with grief, all that kind of stuff would be a package deal.
Well, it's nothing more genuine than telling a real life story, because you're holding people's hand and they know that you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk. This is not some textbook cookie cutter answer. This is actually reality. I know people that have had multiple deaths, especially with COVID. It's been so shocking. I know people that have lost their pet. I lost my pet. The coyotes jumped
Yes.
over the fence, kidnapped him, and ate him. Girl, I ain't been right since.
Oh,
You know, and again, your pet is like your child,
oh, yes, it is.
even more so because they're your confidant. They look you right in the face and they agree, whether they
Yeah.
disagree or not.
I've gone to work and I've cried. My little Theo. You know, I had a kitten too. I've always had cats. So I had this little kitten and he wasn't even a year old.
Hmm.
And the crazy is this little guy got bit by a mosquito and got heartworm and passed away. He wasn't even a year. I'm like, a mosquito, you guys, a mosquito. I didn't even know.
I didn't even know either. I didn't know either.
That's
But
the first
you
time.
know what you do know. You know
Yes.
a little bit about merchandising too. We had this conversation about marketing and promoting yourself. Now you're new on the scene.
Yes.
You're out here on the leadership experience tour. You're going to go out there again,
Yes, I
but
am.
you have to upsell. And
Yes.
Brains, even though we're talking about grief, recovery, speaking, we got to talk dollars and cents because it's a business. You can't pour from an empty coffer. I tell people that all the time. There's no shame associated about putting a price or putting a fee attached to what you do. You've got to travel, you've got to get information, you've got to print things out. You still have to stay up on top of your game and educate yourself. So you're doing some merchandising. Do you have any merchandise there with you?
Okay, I didn't want to take too long here, so I just grabbed two items real fast here. I have my lovely hoodies.
Look at that. Now wait, hold it to the camera. Stretch it out a little bit because I want people to see the logo and that's gorgeous. And look at the quality of that. Eliminate excuses.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. I like that. That E over E.
Yes, so I have that in t-shirts, hoodies, and I also have it in a baseball cap and a coffee mug.
Now, me, I have every kind of merchandise you can imagine. I got watches, coffee mugs, I got logos, I got bobbleheads, all of that because I love my logo, but your logo speaks to who you are. People identify with your message. When I see that E over E, I know that I'm talking about Judy Hartman.
Yes.
And getting it out there and people wearing it is such an honor, is such a pleasure because they're buying into what you're saying. They resonate with your message. They have your same drive and inspiration. So I wish you great success. Plus, it's another revenue stream. When you are pivoting from one thing to another, people always want a takeaway. They want to walk away with your book. They want to walk away with a t-shirt. They want to walk away with the message, but they want that message to resonate in their mind and to be like a seed that's been planted. So what seed would you plant to a person that is experiencing grief right now, that's in that dark space, that's listening to this podcast, that's crying, that's reflecting on their family member that's not there? What would you say to them to encourage them, Judy?
I know it hurts. And I know the tears and the crying, and it's okay. Joy comes in the morning. Hang in there. Grief has no time frame, no time limit. It becomes a lifetime journey. But as you go on and learn and let yourself keep feeling that pain, you're going to heal and you're going to see that there's still life. You'll find joy and happiness again. You really will. It's happened for me and it'll happen for you too when you let it. Keep trusting, keep in prayer, keep strength. It's there and you still have a purpose. I want you to live your best life. Live that life for the one that you lost. Carry their legacy on. That's one of the most honorable things you can do.
Right. And if there was unanswered questions, if there was a conflict, everyone doesn't end up in a bed of roses. Sometimes their life was filled with thorns.
Yes.
Write yourself a letter and toss that letter to the sea or toss it in fire. Get that grief off of you. Because if you don't, you're going to implant intergenerational trauma that is going to carry from you to your children to your grandchildren. Let it go. We didn't say forget. We said just let it go. like balloons or bubbles. Just let it fly in the air. It will eventually burst. It will eventually land on a solid foundation and make you feel good about yourself. And feel good about yourself. Don't have no guilt. Each one of us has a journey, Brains. Each one of us has a journey. We're all going to get to that destination, but it's how we live our life. And you are living your life in grand style. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you, what to look forward to. And, if they want to talk to you about grief, how do they contact you, Judy?
I can be found on several platforms. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I have a website that you can reach me for grieving, which is judyamber.com. And I can also be found on eliminateexcuses.com.
Oh, I like that. You even got that as your HTTML, or what is that? I get confused with all these acronyms and all this.
I know, right?
It's just ridiculous. But we're going to put all of your information at the back part of this interview. We're also wanting people to encourage and sign up, love, and like everything on the edge. Go in, listen to other edgy conversations. We have other individuals that have shared their process and their experience with grief. They know how to help you if you want it. You got to want it. You can't be combative. You can't be angry the rest of your life. You got a whole life to live. So again, go in, like, love, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, Judy Hartman, for being here on the edge with me and my brains. We love you completely and deeply.
Thank you, April.
All right. Bye, brains. Have a good day.